Have you ever noticed that birds are already there before you even look? Not arriving, not landing, just already there, exactly where your attention goes. At first, it feels like nothing, just another detail in the background, something small, something easy to ignore, because birds are everywhere. That's what makes them invisible. You don't question what you see all the time. You accept it, you move past it, and your mind fills in the rest. But sometimes something shifts, not in the world, in you. Your attention slows down, just slightly, and suddenly you begin to notice things you didn't before. Not big things, small ones, the kind that don't stand out unless you're looking closely, the kind that feel normal until they don't. You look at a tree, there's a bird. You look at a wire, there's another one. You look at the ground, there's one there too. Different places, different moments, same pattern. They're always already there. You don't see them arrive. You don't see them move into place. They're just present, as if your gaze didn't find them, but activated them. That thought doesn't make sense, so you ignore it, at least at first, because it's easier that way. Easier to believe that everything is random, that everything follows simple rules, that birds behave like birds. But then it keeps happening. You look somewhere new, and there's one there, perfectly placed, still, quiet, waiting. And the strange part is, you start expecting it. Your eyes move, and something in you already knows what you're going to see. And when it's there, you don't feel surprised. You feel confirmed. That's when it changes, because confirmation feels different than coincidence. Coincidence is uncertain. It's messy. It leaves room for doubt. But confirmation feels precise. It feels intentional. And intention changes everything. You begin to test it without realizing, looking in places that don't matter, corners, edges, empty spaces, and every time there's something there. Not always obvious, not always clear, but present, enough to notice, enough to feel. And slowly that feeling grows. It becomes harder to ignore, harder to dismiss, because it repeats over and over again. In different places, at different times, with different birds, but the pattern stays the same. They are always there, exactly where you look. You start to wonder how long this has been happening, because it doesn't feel new, it feels hidden, like something that existed before you noticed it, something that didn't change, only your awareness did. And that's unsettling, because it means this might have always been true. You just didn't see it. You trusted what you expected, not what was actually there. But now you're looking differently, and that changes what you see. You notice how still they are, not relaxed, not random, still in a way that feels controlled, deliberate, as if movement is a choice, not a reaction. And when they do move, it's precise, too precise, no hesitation.
No correction, just a clean, perfect motion, as if it was planned before it happened. You tell yourself it's instinct. That's what it has to be. That's the only explanation that makes sense. But instinct is imperfect. Instinct reacts. Instinct adjusts. What you're seeing doesn't feel like that. It feels consistent across different places, different birds, different situations. That's when another thought appears, quietly, without warning. What if they're not reacting to the world, but aligning with it? That idea sits in your mind longer than it should, because it explains something you couldn't explain before. Not perfectly, but enough. Enough to make you think again. Enough to make you look again. And once you start looking like that, it doesn't stop. You begin to notice how often they are positioned, not randomly, but meaningfully. A bird where your eyes land. A bird where your path leads. A bird where your attention pauses. Not before, not after. Exactly then, exactly there. And that timing is too consistent to ignore. You begin to feel it, not as a thought, as a sensation. A quiet awareness that something isn't entirely random. Something is structured, not obviously, not visibly, but subtly, just enough to be felt, and not enough to be proven. That's what makes it powerful, because you can't explain it, but you can't unsee it either. And the more you notice, the more it repeats, until eventually it stops feeling strange and starts feeling expected. And that's the moment that matters. Because once something unusual becomes expected, you stop questioning it. You accept it. You adjust to it. And that changes how you see everything else. Now, when you look somewhere, you're not just looking, you're waiting. Waiting to see if it happens again. And it does. It always does. A bird, already there, exactly where your attention goes. Not moving, not reacting, just present. As if it
Something that was always happening. Something that never changed. Something that only needed one thing, for you to notice it. Attention. And now that you've given it, you can't take it back. Because from this point on, every time your eyes move, every time your focus shifts, every time you look somewhere new, a small part of you will be waiting to see if it happens again. And when it does, you won't be surprised. You'll just feel it. That quiet confirmation, that subtle certainty, that strange sense that maybe, just maybe, they were always exactly where you were going to look. Not by chance, not by accident, but for a reason. And the more you think about that, the harder it becomes to ignore one final thought. If they are always exactly where you look, then maybe they are not just part of what you're seeing. Maybe they are part of how you see. And once that idea settles in, even slightly, it changes everything. Because now the question is no longer about them, it's about you. And the only thing left to ask is, if they are always there when you look, then how often were they already looking before you did?